Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast. And first of all, I'm going to apologize because I might have Daryl Mitchell Hill's Wi-Fi connection tonight because this is shocking, really bad. So if I disappear, blame the internet, and hopefully one of these two lads will take over. So to start with, Bestie isn't here. So Bestie is feeling a little bit under the weather. Possible good times two. Second time, Bessie may have been hit with it. But yeah, we'll wish you all the best, Mr. Stephen Best. See what I did there?
It's funny, as soon as someone says they're not very well, it's instantly, it's COVID. Like straight away, isn't it? Oh,
yeah. I think it's because he said he was lightheaded, mate. I just thought COVID.
I'm not sure that's one of the side effects, is it? Perhaps his blood pressure is just high or low, or he hasn't had enough to eat today.
That's what I thought it might have been.
Bestie would have definitely had enough to eat. I'll tell you that. Bestie definitely had enough to eat today. We've heard his all Bestie's stories. He's definitely had enough to eat. Yeah. So once again, as always, the Man of Fit is sponsored by GEORDIE Gifts. GEORDIE Gifts. Oh my God, the connection gone off again.
It's not great, man.
Who's it sponsored by?
GEORDIE Gifts. There's a gift.
GEORDIE
Gifts. If I just keep on saying it, you might hear us eventually. GEORDIE.
We got it.
All right, you got it. Okay. So you can visit their website. It is going across the bottom of the screen right now. Decca, do you want to point down, show everybody where it is? There we go. There we go. So everybody can see that. I just want to point out that even though we have had a few members over the last few weeks, your money that you donated to this channel, I can honestly say right now, it did not buy that chair which Decca's sat on right now. This is not where your money's going on. It's not going on the Big Brother house, which Decca's turning his house into for some reason.
Yeah, it's getting there. I just wish people would come in.
So yeah, instead of people coming into Decca's house, Decca's just inviting garden furniture into his house. So Decca's got a garden swing. Other side,
I've been in this chair.
He's got a paddling pool.
Yeah, I have. I've got a pool out the back there. I've got a lovely Big Brother chair over the other side. But I've just been sat here since 9 o'clock working. It's been amazing. Just been on a swing all day.
He's actually opened South Shield's very first chair museum. Come in and see a selection of various chairs in their natural habitat.
It's not.
This is what lockdown.
You know, just before lockdown. Well, just before lockdown, there was a place in Jesmond. Is it called Beach Box?
Yes.
Where it's basically an outdoor pub. So we've decided to one in South Shields, and it's in Deck living room. This is what we're doing. This is a new venture.
You can all come around mine.
Right. So first of all, thanks to Julie Baker. Thanks for signing up.
I thought Julie was one.
So did I. Maybe there's two Julie Bakers. Maybe
there is two Julie Bakers. There's only two Julie Bakers.
Thanks very much on this one. So let's get talking about that game at the weekend there. Newcastle United 0, Arsenal 2. So as always, we shall start with the after extra time, but we're still lost.
Yeah,
we'll start with the starting lineup. Okay. So I'll quickly run through it and we'll discussion. So Dubravka made his return. So he was that number one in goal there. Kraft on the right, Dumic, Clark, Lascelles, Hayden, Almiron, Sean Staff, Andy Carroll, Hendrick, and Joel were starting 11 players. So I'll start with you, Decca. First of all, great to see Dubravka back in goal.
Absolutely. It made perfect sense, didn't it, really? He's fit back in the squad. Whether a lot of people think Darlow may deserve to keep his Premier League place, some don't, that's fine. But it was a perfect game to sort of get him back in the action. Tough opposition as well, in fairness. But yeah, really pleased to see him. And I know we'll get out of it, but I thought you had a very good game as well. So it was great to see him back.
Yeah. Before we start that player, Daryl has said, Decca Swain is making me seasick.
I'll remain still.
So Decca, he's just moving from side to side, showing off his new chair, isn't he? So Mark, your thoughts on Dubravka coming back into that team?
Yeah, like Decca's just said, it was a bit of a no-brainer, wasn't it? It's opportunity to get him some minutes out on the pitch in a competitive game. bring him back in against reasonable opposition as well. So it's not like he's going to be in for a quiet game when you're playing Arsenal. So right call, I think, to get him back there, get him try and get up to match fitness. So yeah, did very, very well.
Yeah, he did. Dubravka, I know I've said this quite a lot, and I can't really say anything bad against Darlow since he came into the team. Dubravka, in between the goals, it was just a joy to see. I just feel a lot safer with him in goals. I can't deny that. I feel 10 times safer. I'm not sure about your opinions on that one.
I'd probably have to agree with you there, actually. That doesn't mean that I want Darlow to be dropped. I kind of just go against me word off 1 week, can I? I said Darlow deserves his place, and I still believe he does. But I can't deny that I didn't feel safer, with him. When they did have a set piece, or they had a corner, or they were through on goal, if you like, or I still have that air of confidence of Dubravka, and I'm sure the centre halves are probably the same to a degree. All of the business that he had to deal with, he did it. It was as if he hadn't been out for so long, wasn't it? That's what I found amazing. It was as if he's never been out, which is so much credit to him for that. Like, just
came in and took over from where he left off, didn't he?
Absolutely.
Back to almost his best, as if he'd never been out. Yeah. You could think that maybe he's a little bit rusty and stuff like that, but no, absolutely not. Just straight to it. Made some good positioning, some good point blank saves, and that kind of thing. And he didn't, bar obviously the conceding the 2 goals, he didn't look troubled at any time or anything like that.
Early doors.
Back in.
Very, very early doors. I mean, literally within, it felt like 30 seconds. Arsenal had 2 shots. There weren't goal scoring opportunities, but there were early shots which I think he dealt with them really, really well. Safely gathered them in, and I felt like that really built his confidence up, because early doors he touched the ball and made 2 saves very early, which I think would have probably helped settle his nerves as well. So no, just fantastic. He's the guy's a class act. There's no doubt about it, is there really?
Just much more command.
Right, boys, I'm going to let you discuss. I'm going to let you discuss the rest of the lineup. I'm going to try and go and fix this Wi-Fi, even though my Wi-Fi at this moment in time is saying I'm kicking over 150 megs out. God knows what's happening. Okay, so carry on. I'll be back soon.
Okay, man.
See you soon. I've just nearly removed you, Dick, instead of me. Sorry.
Probably better, mate. Then there were 2. Hello, Mark.
Let's not let him back in. Now that he's gone.
Sounds good.
It'll be a much better podcast without him. But when the team was announced, we were having a little chat about it in our WhatsApp group, and I wasn't kind of struck with a huge lot of optimism when we saw Hendrick's name and Carroll's name on the team sheet. Like I was worried about, obviously, lack of pace, lack of movement, and stuff like that from those 2, and obviously Sean was back in the midfield as well. So that was a bit of a worry, but nice to see Lascelles back as well as the captain coming back into the centre of defence.
It was nice to see him on the team sheet, although I don't think he looked at all up to speed. And that's not a dig at him. I'm just saying that he just didn't look up to speed. I question a little bit. I don't want to be too harsh here, but I do question a little bit how the staff thought he was ready to play that game, because he certainly didn't look ready, in my opinion. And that's not just the tackle he made was a brilliant one. He absolutely wiped the lad out, didn't he? It was a needless foul, I think, and that the whole lot. But I did worry and think, how have them realised that he's fit enough to play this game? But anyway, he was in the squad, so he's on his way back. He was in the team, so he's on his way back. To briefly touch on what you said there about Hendrick and Carroll, I totally agree. I mean, I looked at the team and I thought, Carroll needs crosses, he needs, wing backs, and we didn't necessarily. When I seen the team sheet, I was just really worried of how we're going to create any problems for Arsenal. That's what I felt.
Yeah, so we didn't really have any particular width, although Miggy had came in on the right hand side, and we dropped Joe back across to the left. But it didn't really scream out, pace and attacked at it with that team. Kraft obviously came back into Yedlin as well. Dummett.
Yeah, Dummett was on the left side, so I thought we're not exactly going to have a left wing back here bombing on forward. So that was another concern I had of being able to try and get to the byline and get a crossing for Carroll. You know.
Yeah. Do you think it's maybe he's thinking, looking at the team? Obviously, we've got a lot of games in a short space of time, and looking at that with the amount of changes that he made.
I think definitely, mate. Yeah, I do. I mean, we're playing on Tuesday against Sheffield United, so it's only two and a bit days, if you like, really. So you have to use your squad, you know. And I've seen loads of people up in arms on Twitter saying, you know, the team's this and the team's that, but that's what your squad is for. And I'm afraid, whether you like it or not, you've got to try and balance it out right. Whereas obviously the Sheffield United game, you'll probably see Wilson come back in and whoever else, you know. Obviously, yes, I agree. It didn't fill us with confidence seeing the team, but I do understand that. Like, say, Hendrick hasn't played in a while, right? And ironically, he played nearly every game at the start of the season. So there comes a time where it's his opportunity again and his chance to have a go. So yeah.
I think the only thing that I was maybe a little bit worried about with, like, when you're saying that Wilson there is that we could have had 9 substitutes named, but we only actually named 7 on the bench, and Wilson and Shelvey were both in the squad and were meant to be named within that, but were pulled out at kind of last minute as a bit of a precautionary measure. So that's, you know, a little bit of concern for me going into that game on Tuesday, like you've just said, against Sheffield United, is Callum Wilson going to be fit? Because, you know, he is our main man up front. Just maybe want to look at, you know, with a bit of interest tomorrow ahead of that game.
But I wonder if Bruce just didn't realise they had 9 subs opportunity. No, it's a fair point. I think it makes sense to a degree, because if you imagine what you've just said there, that we've got the opportunity to name 9. So let's just say he named him. Let's just say he did. The fans would be on his back for not bringing Wilson on to try and nick a goal. So, but technically he doesn't want to bring him on because he's at risk of getting injured. So maybe leaving him out altogether for all we're 2 subs down maybe does make a bit of sense. But you know, it was nice to see the young lad Anderson obviously, you know, be on the bench, and obviously he got a chance towards the end, which we'll get to. But I think we all said in the group, right, when we're in with predictions, we weren't expecting to get anything or get through in the tie. And if I'm being honest, in terms of the start of the game, Arsenal come out the traps. I thought, you know, they were onward a bit, and I was like, oh God, you know, we've got to be careful here. They had a few shots early doors, nothing necessarily troubling, but they started well. But I actually thought we did okay in the early stages, and I will put a lot of that down to Carroll. We'll come on to it later, things he may not have done, but I really felt he led the line well as he could. He was a nuisance, you know, certainly most of the game. I don't know what your thoughts on that was.
Yeah, again, the same. I thought he played surprisingly well. I didn't expect him to, you know, have that type of game in it. He like you said, led the line well. He linked up the play well. He didn't allow their midfield and defence to settle well. And opposite way around, back in our box, he was an absolute tower. Like winning headers from corners and stuff like that. The only issue you've got as a downside of that is you've then got nobody on the other end of it, of when he is playing in defence to put you on an attack. But that's maybe the only downside of that. But he was immense in defence as well as attack. And you know, we might as well come on to it. But he had 2 good opportunities and then probably a couple of half chances in the game, and I don't know again whether or not the lack of game time or confidence or what maybe impacted him somewhat with that. At the time, I was thinking, well, maybe because he was, at least he wasn't snatching at his shots as much. He was like, he seemed more comfortable on the ball and having a go. So I was like thinking, well, did that goal at the weekend gone? Did that give him that little bit of little bit of confidence in front of goal, allow him to relax a little bit because he's not so desperate to try and score, so he's not snatching as much and stuff like that. He certainly looked a lot smoother and fluid, albeit not quite smooth and fluid enough as those 2 chances shown.
That is true. What I tell you, what I do like about him, I'll come on to that in a second, but he's not scared to have a shot, is he? You know, and there's times where some people probably shout and ball and say, "What are you shooting from there for?" But I do like how he doesn't mind having a go. There was a moment where we're pressed quite well for once, and Joe Linton robbed. I don't know who it was that lost the ball, but he robbed him in midfield, and he was running towards goal. He definitely should have released the pass earlier.
Yeah,
I think
that's in the first half, that wasn't it?
In the first half, yeah, and he gave it to Carroll, and really there wasn't many options on, but Carroll still was willing just to try and smash one. There was one he had in the second half, Carroll, which it was very audacious. Like, it was to the edge of the box. He chested it, did so well to take it down, and he rifled in a right-footed shot. It took a bit of deflection, and I do love that he's got good technique, hasn't he? For a big guy, you know, he has got good technique. But the chances that you're referring to, I mean, for me, it's the one that comes across which the thought was offside at first, but would have stood, and he put that, for me, was the chance that, like, you know, you've got to be putting that away. Maybe it is a lack of game time. Who knows? He did see that one quite late, in fairness to him, that came across the goal. But in regards to snatching at it, he did look very calm, didn't he? Side-footed it, like he didn't look like he was rushed. So that was a shame. I mean, we had 2 unbelievable chances at the end of that game to win. I
did think that one that you're just saying, that I don't think he expected the ball to come to him.
Yeah.
And like you say, it did almost take him a little bit surprised, but he did then make good contact with it.
He did. Yeah, he did.
And just, you know, if he could have just put it in on the inside of the post, you know, it would have just been lovely, a nice move, but wasn't to be. And then obviously we then got that second chance.
Yeah,
nice move and nice break.
It was, wasn't it? It was a really good break, and it's something that you don't really expect. And I also loved how the young lad was so far up front as well. He had a shot which took a deflection, which then went to Carroll. I loved how that young lad was so far up front. I really wish that it had been anyone right-footed that it landed to, but obviously because he would have probably tried to bend it in the far corner. But with it coming to Carroll on his left, he went for power, you know, and it was. I'd say if Leonard had the keeper had his hand out, Carroll would have took it off because he swung again, didn't he? But then the keeper just managed to grab the ball. There were 2 huge moments in the game.
Could have took his head off with that one.
Easy, easy.
Flying in for the follow up, didn't he?
Yeah, easy. I mean, it's a funny one. I mean, I don't want to. The problem you've got when you shite this.
This is the best podcast that we've had for ages. Not him on it.
Hi.
Here we go.
Oh, get him off. Get him off.
Is this any better?
No,
it didn't start well. Sorry.
No. Oh, is it still not working?
Nah, you're all right.
You're on there. Can you hear us?
Okay, I'll try. Yeah. You are fine. You are absolutely fine. Just so if anybody watching has got any Wi-Fi boosters, I'll send you my address. Everybody else has got Wi-Fi boosters sent to them apart from me, you little buggers. Where were you? Were you talking about Carroll by any chance?
Well, we had touched on Lascelles obviously starting, and you know we were saying that it was good to see him in the start. I was shocked, and I was happy to see him in there. I didn't feel he was fit in any shape or form, and I was surprised that the staff actually played him, to be honest with you. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. And then what had moved to Carroll in regards to his performance?
Oh, 100%. Lascelles looked like he was blown from his arse in the first 5 minutes. He wasn't fit. You could clearly see that. Like you said, Dick, I'm not sure what's gone through the likes of the staff to even give him that starting position. And I know we're not blessed at this moment in time with fit centre-backs, but there's somebody that a player who would have been fully fit that could have slotted in there.
I don't know if Bruce or the staff have thought very similar to the Dubravka situations, thinking that, you know, we've got a game in a couple of days against Sheffield United. You know, do we give him a run out and see what he's got? See, you know, Lascelles obviously must have said to the staff, "Oh, I feel physically fine. I feel okay. Gives it a go." In it early doors backfired. You could see that. I mean, we discussed the challenge that he made. I mean, I thought it was hilarious and loved it, but when he absolutely cleaned out that lad and got a yellow card, you could see that he was off the pace, you know.
It was like Boris Johnson in the old
Yeah.
charity football match, wasn't it? When he went in for that sliding tackle and just absolutely wiped out the player. Like it was. Just,
Well, it was
I don't think
similar
is there for the tackle yet. He's still trying to get across the pitch to put the tackle in.
It was similar for Williamson's against Vardy, wasn't it? Where he's nowhere near him, he just wipes him out.
But what's quite funny is that
similar
like, Lascelles obviously got booked, and you think of what the Arsenal lad originally got sent off for. Like, it was absolute night and day. Like, Lascelles was 10 times worse, really, than what I know. It got overturned almost immediately, but it was a shocker, you know what I mean? But when we touched on Carroll there, Chris, because I thought Carroll led the line superbly well. I know we'll come on to his misses, which we've already talked about, but I thought, what was your thoughts on his performance overall?
Probably the best we've seen Carroll since he's been back at the club. He grafted his arse off. He was trying to spend a lot of time in our half, which was a concern. Probably our best defender, and probably our best striker in the same breath. At least he was trying, mate. It's more that you can see it for other people on there. He looked lively, which is something I never thought I would say with Andy Carroll in the same sentence. He looked lively. He picked up that booking, which was never a yellow card. I'm not sure what all that was about. Obviously, just jumping with his arms in the air. That's what any striker does. You see it, God knows how many times during a game. But yeah, Carroll, he shocked us. I think that's probably the best way to describe it for me. He shocked us with that performance.
He shocked me last
time. Even though he was shite, like I'm putting it in the back of the net.
Yeah. The shock of him lasting 2 hours on a football pitch without either dying or breaking something, or it's just.
Well, obviously, he got taken off, didn't he?
Yeah,
he got towards the last 15 minutes of the game. I thought he should have stayed on for the sake of 15 minutes. I don't see what that would have done. Obviously, Gale got brought on, and I don't think he touched the ball, if I remember right, or very little. I don't know. Yeah. What's 15 minutes at the end of the day? If you're getting 2 hours out of Andy Carroll, 15 minutes isn't going to be much.
But the thing I would say is he didn't look like he was flagging in any way. You know, he looked to me, he looked as strong in that minute than he did in the first. And that's a testament to him and full credit. I mean, we all know him. I'm certainly not sitting here now saying, oh, well, he has to start on Tuesday and he's our best striker. Absolutely. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just saying that in that particular game, I thought he gave everything. And I'll never ever knock a player that gives everything. You know, I mean, I know he missed the chances, and we can have a go at that, and if he's lack of quality, say, but he really put himself about. And the same problem happened again as it always does, is that the man up front has just got no one anywhere near him. Often happened again. Carroll's winning flick-ons. He is holding the ball up, but there's just nobody there. You know what I mean? And I thought he did very well at that.
I think up until Anderson.
The thing that worried us a little bit with Carroll. Yeah, well, I think what worried me, Carroll, towards obviously towards full time, he wasn't really conserving his energy very well. He was still running back in our half and chasing the ball down. I thought, right, Carroll, we're coming in the dying minutes of the game. Just stay away or let somebody else do the graft, and that ball might get lumped up towards you. And it just seemed like similar to what Almiron does. When Almiron just runs after the ball. Carroll started doing that towards the end of the game, and I thought you need to just be in their half and take some of their players out of the game. And you would think a player with his experience that he would have done that. And that's probably the only criticism which I could have, obviously, other than he's finishing for a couple of chances. But that's probably the major criticism for me.
I don't know if maybe he's thinking, I want to show that I'm working. I want to show I'm fit. I want to show I'm trying. So it's a hard one, isn't it, to judge? So obviously, I get the point you're making. Conserve your energy, stay in your position, etc., etc. Maybe him inside is thinking, I don't want people to question me lack of effort, and I want to chase people down. I want to look like I'm trying to break the play up and things like that, which for me I accept and good on you. But obviously, when you've been out as long as Carroll has, and also the injury record you've got, and it's late in the game, conserving your energy, of course, is important. I mean, you've got the young kid on the field, Anderson. There, let him do the running type of thing. Which, to be fair, I must say, he doesn't look bad at all. It's only got a few minutes, and he didn't get load, but he's got good feet. He looked technically quite good. I thought he did more than Joe Linton in the game for the time he was on. He looked dangerous. He looked lively, and he should be proud of himself for that debut. Right, to be fair.
he didn't look out of place. That's probably the best way to describe it. He definitely didn't look out of place. And you would hope that tomorrow's game will be a great chance for him against Sheffield United. There's no other team that obviously apart from the cup games, which is none of them left now because we're out of the cups. Yeah. But you think that game against Sheffield United, that's the one where you go, right, so there's your chance, see what you can do.
I think
worth it.
Your thoughts on that, Mark?
But I think it's maybe a little bit unfair on Gale if he goes in ahead of him, if Gale's fit and raring to go. I maybe just thought he didn't want to bring Gale on because he maybe didn't want him to get him cup tied or something like that. But then he obviously came on for the last 15, 20 minutes or so. So that kind of put that one to bed. But I don't know. It was a game where, to be fair, there wasn't really. Anderson couldn't lose in that situation. If he came on with 10 minutes to go, ran around and looked busy, then he's had a good debut. If you could get a half a chance and something like that, then he's got an opportunity to make yourself a big name. So it was a no lose situation for him. So I think he took it admirably. He did well. He came on, like Decker said, he was really busy around. He wasn't afraid to get into the box and have a go when the opportunity came his way. Again, just bit of poor finishing on the chance that he did get, but it'll come. He's a very, very young lad, so things can only get better.
Yeah. So Neil said there that he'd start Carroll and Wilson together tomorrow night. I don't think you're going to get another game out of Carroll, especially another starting game. Carroll will be sore. I'll tell you that now. His body is going to be falling to bits after he's just not fit enough.
But it's interesting to see if Carroll has got anything in the tank, because it's kind of like you were saying there towards the late stages of the game when he's still running around and stuff like that. Again, I'm a little bit with what Decker said, that at least he's still got that energy at that point. You probably expect him to drop off and not be running through. So at least he still feels comfortable within his body, that he's still got the ability to run around like that. He's not feeling any niggles or anything like that. So touch wood, we finally maybe have turned a bit of a corner with him, and he's feeling good in his own body. He's staying fit and stuff like that, and he might get some more minutes in, but I don't know, maybe unlikely, and that's where I probably look towards maybe giving Gale and Wilson a try together, or Fraser's back in training as well. I don't know if that'll come too early for him.
Michael Sullivan has said there, I'll go you, Digger, did ever come out and say what was wrong with Wilson? And I think it was Wilson and Shelby, if I remember right, had been taken out of the team, because we were supposed to have both those on the bench, but they were withdrawn from the squad. I'm not sure if they ever said anything. Did you hear anything?
No, I didn't. If memory serves us correct, I know he's been having a bit of, I think it might be a cough, perhaps a cough, niggle or something, like a bit of a strain that Wilson has been carrying for a bit, and that's why he's been protecting him in certain chances when we've had. We all know that if we lose him, we're in big trouble, because at least Wilson can get you goals and he leads the line very, very well. So obviously I totally understand why they'd be protecting him. I don't necessarily want to go down this route because of like saying Carroll and Wilson together, because it's very old school, isn't it? Little and large up front. But in certain games, it might actually work, because I think having Carroll up, having someone so close to Wilson, but someone as physical as what Carroll is, as Wilson could be buzzing around him for the flick-ons, for the hold-up play or whatever, and it could actually work. But it's a very old school mentality, isn't it? If that, little and large up front. That's my only concern with that.
I think with Carroll and Wilson, if they did go, and I'm saying right now, I don't think they will. I definitely don't think it'll be both those starting. But it's two big lads that are quite strong in the air, and they're quite powerful lads, where there's going to be elbows left, right, and centre, and defenders won't. But you've got to remember, it's Sheffield United that we're going up against, and they know they're not a soft team by all means. They go as well. So I'm not quite sure on that one. I think their defenders could probably give out as good as what they could take against our strikers. So
they're a decent football inside. I say a decent football inside. I mean, they've lost Biddy 18 out of the last 16 or whatever it's been. But you cast your mind back, and I appreciate it's a different year. But we went away from home at their place, Chris, didn't we, and Mark? And I mean, them played well off the park. I mean, we won the game, but my God, they played well off the park. And they're a high pressing team. They play good football, and I'm not sure if we're able to actually play two people up front against them. I'm not too sure about that. But Bruce has played Joe Linton and Wilson together for a couple of times this season. So I'm not suggesting that Carroll and Wilson wouldn't work necessarily.
Well, there's a shout there from Michael Sullivan that they tried Carroll and Wilson at the start of the season against West Ham, but it didn't work so much against Brighton.
Yeah, and I think West Ham are maybe a bit closer in the way that they play compared to Sheffield United, whereas Bournemouth are a bit more, knocking around a bit more. Brighton, are a bit more knocking around and, not as direct. Whereas Sheffield, yes, they do like to play football, but they are a bit more direct with it. So it might suit us a bit more, like in that same kind of performance like we're seeing against West Ham, to have those two. I'm like you, Chris. I don't think he will go with it and risk it and having those two. I think he'll probably go with a safe option and probably stick Joe on the left and Miggy on the right again. Even though,
so you mentioned him there, Mark, and I'll stay with you, Mark. I'll stay with you, Mark. But Joe, when he loses starting position because his performances haven't been great, and I think as a podcast and a channel, we have given Joe Lennon a lot of credit of things which a lot of fans haven't done, and a lot of fans have been on his case since day one. And I think we have stuck by him and given him a lot of chances as fans. How long does it go on for, mate, before you lose his position, you give somebody else a chance?
There's no beating about the bush. He was very, very poor at the weekend, and one or two things during the whole time that he was on the pitch, you cannot really point your finger at any real anything really good that he did during the game. Like, he had the one opportunity where he took the ball in the box, that was good, but he then hung on for it for too long. He needs to be taken out of the firing line, and it's not doing us any favors having him in there, because we are for long portions of the games having to carry him at the moment because he's not involved in it. The worry is what have we got to bring in to replace him? Do you maybe stick Richie out up there on the right and move Miggy across to the left and bring Lewis back in at left back, or keep Dummett in there? I don't know. It's with not having Fraser fit, St. Maximum still missing. It just gives you a little bit of worries. I mean, Murphy's had a couple of games, albeit at right wing back. Could he push further forward onto that right midfield, and again have Miggy over on the left? So there's options there. I don't know if it's the options that Steve Bruce will want to take, because I don't know whether he thinks Joe gives it a bit more protection in not getting forward too much. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of why he's persevering with him, but it hasn't worked for the last few games.
So I'll move over you, Digger. RL90 said there, as you can see on the screen, that Gale Wilson for him. If we are clinical, their heads will drop, and you have to go for the kill on this one. I haven't seen much of Gale. Obviously, the times that we have seen him, and obviously apart from the game against Arsenal, he didn't have long on the field, but he has looked lively, and he has had his chances. Goal. What's happened at this point now where we're not seeing more of Gale, where he's not being brought on as a sub?
It's a real strange one, because Bruce has came out and said he's admired him for a long time. He's tried to buy him before. He's always spoke very highly of Gale every time he's had the opportunity to. As you've mentioned, when he has brought Gale on, he's been very good. I mean, you think of that headed goal, that was against actually Murphy, put a beautiful crossover and he scored.
Two headed chances in the space of 5 minutes, didn't he? And both on target.
Right,
one was
one
a
off
goal.
The line, and one scored. Yeah, he has looked very threatening when he came off the bench, and for him not to get any goal now is incredibly strange. Whether or not there has been rumours of him being sold, have they been just trying to protect him so he doesn't get injured? That's what it could be. Well, they're just basically what Sean said there. For me, and I mean, I've seen pictures of Fraser in training. It just the other day there, where you've probably seen them pointing at his hair and that laughing.
Today, yeah.
It would be amazing to see him come back into the team playing on the left-hand side. If not, and I didn't think I would say this, the person I would play would be Murphy out there, if he'll do it, if he can do it, cutting inside from the left. I think I will definitely say he lacks quality, right? 100% Murphy does. His final ball, his final decision's poor. But one thing I noticed, he even came on at the weekend, and he's willing to give it a go, right? He'll run at players, he'll take people on, he'll run back. And I don't know, I just think that I would rather have him on the left-hand side, coming inside, having a shot or whatever it may be, than Joe Linton at the moment. I just feel Joe Linton's been very, very poor recently. And I've defended him, and I've said on here that, for example, the Crystal Palace game, there was moments in the Palace game where he was very, very good up front with Wilson. Things were working. But we can't say that at the moment. He's been very, very poor. He looks lethargic. He looks lack of confidence, lack of energy. So I think his times has to come where he needs to be on the bench and another person deserves a goal.
Yeah, you're right. So it was a West Brom game, mate, where Gale scored the goal.
That one, yeah.
Obviously it was a West Brom game. I just want to say, everybody, you can't see a lot of comments coming on the screen there. Majority of the comments are from the members. The reason that it is members' comments coming up is because we can see those a lot more prominently in our chat. So obviously, members, if you do become a member, you have more chance of your questions being out. So Gale's a funny one for me, and Decker, you just mentioned it there, and somebody else, I think it was Sean Saunders, mentioned it. Yeah. Is it simply a case where we're looking to sell him, and we're looking obviously to get that last bit of cash for Gale? Is his contract not running up soon, Mark?
Yeah, he's out of contract. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about a swap deal involving him and King, but then Bruce's came out today and said that that's a non-starter. Will not be bringing any attackers in. So that kind of puts pay to that one. But he did again say that there is still one or two things being worked on in the back. So whether that's midfield maybe is where you'd potentially think that we need to strengthen and get some additional support in, as we've talked about repeatedly. But I think that those comments probably put to bed the fact of Gale going out and somebody coming in as a bit of a swap.
Would be mad to get rid of Gale. Absolutely crazy, in my opinion. Absolutely crazy to get rid of him. You think of. I think
providing you're going to, if you're going to use the money and reinvest it and bring another striker in his place, then yes, it makes sense. So that's where the whole King and Gale argument was coming from, because apparently Bruce was interested in him. Gale was, is going to be out of contract, so can potentially walk away for nothing. So it made perfect sense. But then for whatever reason, like I say, he came out and said it's not going to happen. So.
We're a team that doesn't score anywhere near enough goals. When's the last time we scored? It's hard to remember, to my mind, anyway.
Carroll scored it.
I read something not long ago.
Yeah. But like to get rid of a person who knows where the back of the net is in the middle of the season, it just makes zero sense to me. Like, I think we need to just keep a hold of him.
I think what
weekend, I think, as well, didn't he?
I know Carroll scored the other week, but I think the stat that was going around was goal from open play. It was a long time. The last time Newcastle scored a goal from open play, because was Carroll's not corner, which came
16th of December.
Yeah,
was it
a long time?
16th of December.
Yeah, Wilson scored a penalty, obviously, against Fulham. Before that, it was Hendrick and Clark against Leeds.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
And they were consolation goals.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, it's worrying. It is worrying, and it just shows you how much creativity would do lack when Saint isn't in the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's not forget he wasn't great. He hasn't been great since he signed that contract.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree to the point where he has been off the boil, but once again, he's the only player in that team now which has that bit of excitement and that bit of flair to him. And even if Saint has a bad game, there's still a couple of moments in that game where he does create something magic, to be honest with you, mate. And with him not in the team, with not even God knows what's happening with them. But it's worrying that we don't have anybody else. It really is.
I think it's hard. To replace a man like Saint. I mean, there's not many. I've been on here and said that I don't think anyone is as exciting as he is as a player in the league, and I don't think anyone can go past the player quite as easy as he does. Maybe Zaha does, but and it's very difficult for any team to have two of him. So of course we're going to miss him, and you've got to remember as well we're missing Fraser as well. So in my opinion, it's two of the most exciting attack-minded players we can't play or we haven't got available, which is very difficult. One thing that I read a stat, I can't remember who put it on. I think we've only won 2 out of 25 games when Bruce has played 5 at the back. That's a huge concern. That's a massive concern. And it's stats like that even I forget that just jumps out at us. It's crazy.
There's another shout there by Michael Sullivan saying that Saint being there. We mentioned this last week. Saint being there gives Almiron more space.
Absolutely,
it's right. Almiron hasn't looked like the same player. God knows how long, but obviously some of Almiron's best games last season were when Saint was involved. So Saint not being there has a huge impact on everybody, but probably Almiron most of all.
Even if Saint's playing poor, 2 players are going to keep an eye on Saint, no matter what. You're never going to leave him free, even if he's playing poor, and that can only help your Almirons, your Wilsons, or whoever else that's on the field.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of Saint being out, you would think it would give Miggy more of an opportunity to take on that attacking role, because it allows him to play on that left hand side where it's historically been his best position, albeit a little bit more narrow than Saint does, because he does tend to stick out wider. But we definitely seen the best in his time with Miggy when he's in that inside left role. That's where he used to play for Atlanta all of the time, and where he was really good when he first came here. So you would have thought we'd use that more in the last couple of months while Saint hasn't been in the team or hasn't been particularly well.
Almiron, mate, I think you have to say that Almiron is probably better without the ball than what he is with it. And that's when Saint comes, let him do it. Let Almiron get into those positions, let Almiron take players away from where they're supposed to be positioned. And that's why they work well together for me. Saint not in the team, Almiron seems pretty useless. He's not the player that he has been. He runs around a lot. He tracks back a lot. But that's not why he's here. He's here to score goals and create chances. And you're not seeing it. Great defensively, but we're not seeing it enough.
It's a shame because he's been asked to do that job, isn't he? He's been asked to play on that right-hand side, or even in midfield. He's been asked to play in the centre midfield positions and do more going back. So, of course, you're not going to see that side that we want to see from him of getting forward and attacking, because he's being told to hold his position. He's being told to go with the man, with the runners and break up play. So I don't know. It's like asking Callum Wilson, don't bother playing up front. We want you to play it centre back this week. You're not going to see the best of him.
There's a lot. I'll go you, Decker. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of people say that Almiron, even when he was playing for Atlanta, he wasn't the likes of that winger player that were cut in. He played that number 10 role behind Martinez, was it? Yeah, it was. So it's a number 10 role which Almiron creates. Right now, we don't really have the you're playing a number 10 because the team isn't good enough to give somebody that role.
I think it's difficult for all of the attacking players, if I'm being honest. I mean, we've only really in my mind to go back. Because I don't think Joe Linton does enough, right? In them, left forward roles. It only really leaves you your striker and Almiron left. If you think of the team, it's only them 2 left, and we're incredibly deep as a team anyway. So every time I see Almiron pick the ball up, he's literally got the full length of the field to run before he's anywhere near a goal. Having said that, what's sad here is you would have known a lot of people's opinion of Almiron, not Newcastle fans, but have said that he's a headless chicken. He just runs around. And I hate to say this, but more and more I'm watching him these days, that's what he looks like. Someone that just runs around, puts loads of energy in, but they're not really doing anything with it. And I'm a massive fan of Almiron, I am. And we need to have of course, better tactics. We need to have more. If we had your Wilsons, maybe your Fraser on and Saint on, surely Almiron then would come good. I would hope.
He's persevered keeping Joe. Is that number 10 role or in the left hand side? And it and that's why I'm saying it's a perfect opportunity to get Almiron in the role that he wants to play in. But for whatever reason, Bruce either doesn't trust him in it or just doesn't fancy him. How long did it take him to get him into the team this year? We've had conversations about why isn't he playing him, how unhappy Miggy looks and stuff like that, because he's not being used to his best form. And Neil, sums it up perfectly there. Bruce is ruining him because he's not allowing him to be the player that he is, and the player that gives us joy and gives him joy in getting that ball and be able to take it forward and run with it.
Early doors of Bruce. He scored his first goal in that, Bruce, right? Almiron did. His first goal for the club was when he was inside the box, carried it down. He went on a little bit of a... Yeah, Southampton it was. And you what?
No, it's Palace.
Palace.
Was it Palace?
Yeah, it was Palace at home. Yeah.
And there was a bit of a run Almiron went on in the cup. He scored. For me, a lot of his goals were coming centrally. He was almost playing through the middle more, and running direct through the middle, which I thought was great. I actually think he's lost out wide. I think he's lost, especially on the right, because it's so obvious that he's going to come inside all the time. He's not as gifted as Saint. I mean, Saint, we all know he's going to come on his right foot, but sometimes he just can't stop it. He's just that good at coming inside. With Almiron, when he's on the right-hand side, I think he goes missing in games, and then ends off just becoming this headless chicken running around. It's worrying. It's worrying because he's one of my favourite players. He does give it his all, but his confidence looks shot.
So just as you say that, mate, comment comes straight in, saying that he's lost his confidence, and he always never looks to do anything positive.
That's true.
That's true. Forward, though, when there's nothing in front of you. If there's nobody in front of you to play the ball to, what else can you do except go sideways or backwards?
Yeah, there's a lot of times he breaks forward and he'll put his foot on the ball and he's looking and there's just nothing there. So he just ends off coming back. And I think that's the full setup of the team, isn't it, of how negative it is. Centre midfielders don't get high enough and all the rest of it. It go on forever. But it's certainly a shame, though, when you think of how long he's been here now at the club, and you would have to say he hasn't advanced at all, has he? He looks worse probably now than he ever has. So it's a shame to say that.
Yeah,
there's many players that you can point that at now after playing nigh on 2 years under Bruce on it.
Yeah. Sadly,
there ain't many that's improved.
Yeah. No, that is worrying. It is really worrying.
We've moved away from the Arsenal game, and I understand maybe why we have. I just wanted to ask you, because I didn't really speak to you about this at all. Like I know we went out, right? I know we did, and I'm well aware of that. Were you pleased with the performance or the attempt by the players, or did you think just another one we've lost? What was your thoughts on
that? In parts, I was. I can't deny that it did look better than for majority of the rest of the season, but it's still like I think Shearer and Wright and Lineker summed it up. We wanted to go forward a lot of the time. It looked like we were just happy to sit back and do as we were, but opportunities were there towards the end of the game. But like I said, I think the three pundits summed it up well, and it was pretty anti-football at times. And how many times we said this season?
I mean, we arguably had the best two chances of the game to do something with it, but they were out of the blue, whereas Arsenal had certainly had more chances because they were more attack minded than we were, but didn't get any clear opportunities.
Dubravka made some decent saves.
Dubravka was there, in
couple
the way.
Of decent saves by Dubravka as well to keep us in it.
But it's just.
I thought when Arsenal brought on the big hitters, we really struggled. I thought we held our own for long periods of the game. But when Xhaka came on the pitch, man, Jesus, we just couldn't get near him. He was just passing it around for fun. Lacazette was causing massive problems. But I'll be fair. I was a lot more spirited than I expected to be. I thought we'd give a decent account of ourselves. But it wasn't a great game by any stretch. I just thought we'd give a decent account of ourselves. But once them start bringing on them quality players, we just couldn't live with them. Like.
Yeah, so Marty Lawrence, even Marty, said that throw-ins in corners, why are we useless at both? It's true. I couldn't tell you how long we've been bad at those sort of set pieces. Probably free kicks as well. It's not just those, it's every time a dead ball. In fact, it's open play as well. We're just not very good at all.
Yeah, we are dreadful at any set play. Like any set play, we're we'll just either overhit the ball, we'll float it too high, keeper comes and gets it, we hit the first man. Whatever could go wrong, we will do it. Like,
yeah, there was a time where we would get a set piece in a corner and you'd be confident with the likes of Kieran Clark and Lascelles. Kieran Clark was top goal scorer for God knows how long at the start. Was it last season or the season before?
Yeah. When Bruce first came, we scored a lot of goals, from corners.
You're right. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And I remember we're talking about the fact that we actually looked like we had a bit of organisation. It was set plays, but we're trying different things. Like Fernandez? Two or three games apart from each other did pretty much the same move and scored as a result of them before.
Well, ironically, you're right in what you say there. The person who was involved in most of the set plays was Williams. Williams was always the one that would in a few short corners, like a little bit different. It was Williams was the one putting the ball over, things like that. But you're right, because we're defenders, we were top scorers, weren't they? At one point, it was every week they were scoring headers and stuff, And Clark's very good in the air. Clark's a real troublemaker in the air. He's dangerous from set plays. But throw-ins are a massive concern. And it sounds stupid to go, it's only a throw-in. But Jesus, we cannot keep possession from a throw-in, like, no matter where it is on the field.
It's horrendous.
You mentioned Clark there.
Absolutely horrendous.
Just mentioning Clark, I've got to say, I thought again he was outstanding. Obviously there was the issue with the goal, which was a big shame for him. But I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
Do you know what it's very similar to the Carroll remark that we've discussed, that you cannot fault his effort, his actual overall performance. But he did that one massive error for the goal. It was horrendous, wasn't it, for the goal? Really bad. And then you've got Carroll, who's
just tried it, didn't he?
I know, and he just bobbled it.
The thing I want to touch about this, obviously, was a cup game, and we've seen it in the League Cup where they've scrapped extra time. What is the point in extra time? We are going through a pandemic, and it's a lot of games in a shorter period of time now, because obviously the season started later. What is the point in extra time? Why are the FA Cup saying that it had to go to extra time? Just put it straight to penalties. I don't see what it's achieving.
It favours a team with a bigger squad, doesn't it? Because like we saw as that game went on, they could make more changes. They can bring, they've got a deeper squad with better players in it than we have, so it's going to favour them. So I don't know. Maybe the thing penalties. It's more of a potluck, isn't it? Where you've got a chance. It's not based on any real skill other than hitting the target most of the time.
That's what your 90 minutes is for. That's what your 90 minutes is for. Play your 90 minutes as football, then go straight to penalties. Save everybody the hassle of 30 minutes extra.
Yeah, to be fair, honestly, Chris, I have to be honest, I totally forgot about that. Like that the other cup competition scrapped extra time, and I forgot all about that. And I think it's a really good point, actually, that it was nonsense, really, when I think of it now. As you say, middle of the pandemic, there's games coming in thick and fast. It was needless half an hour. I didn't think of that, so yeah.
It's up there with international friendlies as well. Like, don't play them. Yeah. Don't play extra time. Just let it go with penalties. Like, just save everybody's time. Like, the players don't need this, man. Like, nobody needs it. And never mind just the players. It's just bad decision by the FA. That, like, really bad. I honestly can't justify it all.
Yeah, that's true. And to be fair,
exactly. But I just nothing which I can think of to say that it's a good idea to play extra time. It's probably highlighted more during this pandemic, but even prior to that, I hated extra time prior to that.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying it because we conceded in extra time when we got beat. I don't mean it that way. Mm-hmm. I just think in what you say in terms of what we're going through at the moment, I think it's a fair comment that it should be removed, as it was in the Carabao Cup. And I'm not just saying it because we conceded 2 goals in extra time, but yeah, it's a good point.
You've got to think of it, the bigger picture, though. It's unfair on some of the other teams. Like if you think of the non-league teams and the lower league teams that have got through to the position that they have, if they've been able to battle through against a Championship or Premier League team and taken to them to 90 minutes, and they've still got extra time to give them a chance to get through, then you're potentially taking away their dream. But that's the traditionist side of it, of things, of giving the underdog a chance, whereas the underdog in this game lost out, unfortunately, which was us.
Yeah. We'll go for another 5-10 minutes. Everybody that is watching, nearly 150 is at the minute. It would mean a lot if you could like the video as well, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. But yeah, like the video, it helps us a lot. So thank you. So let's have a look and see if there's anything else which is sprung to mind. There's a lot of questions in relation to left back, and we do focus on left backs quite a lot over the last few weeks. You mentioned it earlier, Decker, so I'll stay with you on this one. Williams, he was another player that brought a lot of creativity and a lot of chances to the team, something which we're not seeing now from the likes of that full-back position. I ask this question every single week. Do you see him coming back to the club?
I don't know. I mean, me mate Jack, you might have seen, tweeted him and said something about you need to meet up with Saint or something, and then he replied saying, yeah, I'm meeting him soon or something, or we'll be meeting soon or something like that. And he screenshotted and sent us it straight away. He was like, "Oh, Decker, I think he's coming back." And I was like, "Well, that could just mean he's going to meet him or whatever, you know." But
yeah, just go out with his mate.
Yeah, I mean, I've said every week that I wouldn't take Williams back, and that's not because I don't rate him as a player. I just think of the squad numbers and what, you know, have we got anyone we can sort of remove from the squad to get him in the 25? If you said to us that we wouldn't bring anybody in this window, I would 100% take Williams, yes. But I would prefer to get a centre midfielder in. If it has to be one, I'd prefer to be a centre midfielder. But if we didn't get anybody, yes, I would take Williams. Of course, I would.
Yeah. So obviously, Mark Decker mentioned it that need for a central midfielder. We've been saying it, God knows how many years now. It's crucial. It's now or isn't it?
Yeah.
It's now or never.
It is, and you've just got to hope that these one or two players that Bruce is talking about working on is that. My worry is that there's no money to spend, and then it's going to be loan players again, because again he's talked about that I still can't quite believe he said these words, but that we did very well in the loan market last January, which we didn't. We did very well, and we brought 3 players in, but only one of them really did anything. And you know, with them.
So which players did we bring in? Was
Bentaleb,
Lazaro, and who else? Rose. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And hindsight, I think, because I was pleased with Rose. I have to be honest here. When we signed Rose, I thought, wow, that's a really good signing that for us. Mm-hmm. It didn't turn out that way, and that's fair enough. Sometimes with a loan player, the reason why I quite like getting loans is that you can sometimes get someone that's punching above your weight. You know, like someone you can, like, look at Barkley went to Aston Villa, for example, on loan. Like, sometimes you can punch above your weight a little bit and get a decent loan player for the remainder of the season. Sometimes it's false hope because obviously he's gone at the end of the season and then you're back to square one. But it might tie the gap, you know, and it would be lovely if we could get see someone that plays for Chelsea that doesn't get his game regularly. A centre midfielder that's got real quality but just isn't good enough for Chelsea, or a Liverpool player, something like that, you know.
I think one of the players, which I know, Mark, you said this earlier, where Bruce said that we're not looking at attacking players, but he has to be looking at attacking midfielder. Has to, no matter what. I don't care what he says, he has to, be looking at his options there. But I think obviously Joe Linton, far from finishing his chances, far from getting any chances. One of the players that I would like to see, because it doesn't look like Gale's getting much game time either, is possibility of loaning Origi from Liverpool. Names being mentioned quite a number of times over the last few weeks. It's a player, like I said, he's not getting much game time at Liverpool. He makes the odd appearance, obviously in the Champions League games. Something needs to change in regards to scoring goals, doesn't it? You can't look at any other way. And likes of attacking midfield and a striker, that's being looked at by the club.
Yeah, Origi's been bandied around Liverpool, trying to move him out of the team to try and cash in on him. Would he come here? I'm not quite sure. I think he'll move, probably go into Europe somewhere. Somebody that's playing in the Champions League or Europa League, because he's got that name of being able to score goals at that level. I don't know if he'd come here, but somebody like, you know, even Hudson-Odoi, something like that, somebody like that who is a good attacking player on the fringes of Chelsea, like you said. You look at some of the players that are in that Chelsea squad, in the Man City squads and stuff like that don't get the games and would walk into 70-80% of the teams in the Premier League to give them the opportunity. Problem is, though, we have to clear out the deadwood. We've still got five players sitting there getting paid week in, week out, and not appearing in the team, and that's a big concern. So obviously we got rid of Aaron this week. He's gone to Huddersfield, so there's one off the books. After 3 or 4 to go, we might see something happening.
See, for me, there's a player, don't get us wrong, he probably wanted to stay in London, and that's exactly why he is where he is. But Loftus-Cheek at Fulham, for example, like, I would have took Loftus-Cheek, no problems, you know what I mean? But I know he's went to Fulham, maybe that's just because he can probably still live in the same house and got to Fulham. But it's just players like that, is the players for the big clubs, if you like, your Chelsea's, your Man United's or whoever, that certainly would be better than what we've got. And we'll get them in on loan. The parent club will be happy because they're getting game time, they're getting minutes, they're getting shop window, and we'll pay a percentage of the wages, and everyone's a winner, really. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. And I think as a club, that's probably where we will be looking, unfortunately.
It is an unfortunate,
especially if you're looking at loans. Yeah, it just shows once again. It just shows you how far this club's fell. It just shows you how far we're looking at those teams to look at the players that they don't play. That don't really have a position in that team unless needed, and that's where we are right now. It is a shame, but it's. I know we'll keep on bleating on about this every single week. Not just every single week, every single bloody season. We need to fix that midfield. If we don't fix that midfield, it's only going to get worse. And we're going to start dropping down that table. We've started dropping already. We'll keep on dropping, depending on the result tomorrow night. That could have a huge impact if we don't pick a result up. And I'm not just saying a draw. We have to go there and take all 3 points from a team that hasn't won a game this season in the Premier League. We'll have to take all 3. I'm not settling for a draw.
Are you nervous?
What was that? Sorry.
Are you nervous for tomorrow?
Of course I am. I'm really nervous because I came on social media earlier saying that as a Newcastle fan, I'm actually dreading being a team that hasn't won a game this season in the Premier League, and I'm in the same boat. It's absolutely horrendous. Because
nobody wants to be that team, do they? And the players will be the same. The players surely will be saying, "God, we can't be the people that get beat off these." It's just one of them, isn't it? And I think the longer the run goes on of them losing, as it has done, the pressure, I don't say pressure, but like that feeling of like, oh shit, gets worse because it's come to us and we are the team. If a striker hasn't scored a goal in 15 years or whatever it might be, that we are the team that they'll break the duck against. And unfortunately, I am concerned for tomorrow. If we do lose though, surely that means the pressure on Bruce then will be absolutely unbelievable.
Well, Bruce has already came out today again doing the usual that he does and start really, really talking up the opposition.
Yeah.
What a great team they are and what a fantastic season that they'd had. And, they're a very, very good team and we're going to have to be at our best and we'll go and try and get a result. Come on, man.
Hey, that bloke would be the worst. Honestly, mate, that bloke would be the worst motivational speaker and life coach you could ever have.
Horrendous.
Come on, like Bruce, honestly, of course, he might be saying other things behind the scenes of the players, but shut your mouth. Like, it's embarrassing now. It is embarrassing. Yeah. And fans have figured out what you're going to say every single time now. Every week without fail. All he does is talk about how good the opposition are and how that we're going to have to be at our best. And we'll try. We're going to go and we're going to, give it our all. We'll try and do our best. We'll see if we can get a result. Not we're going to go down there and we're going to win it. There's no positivity about it. Even if he does then go and doesn't win it or goes and plays the same crap, at least he's said something different to actually. Oh well, maybe he has got the intention to go down there and give it a go, rather than just saying, oh well, we'll see how we get on.
Did you see? I think it was Darren Bent was in the studio, and I think he said a few comments about. He actually praised Bruce for this, but it was a weird one in the terms of the mentality. I think Sunderland, must have been Sunderland got beat off Chelsea or hammered, absolutely hammered.
Yeah, the two halves, wasn't it? Yep.
And it was the way that he even after the game he was like, well, it is what it is. It's gone now, so we'll just go again later on, type of thing. And that's the problem.
Yourself down, probably.
Yeah, I can imagine him saying that, and it doesn't fill you with confidence, does it? And I feel as if what he's saying to the press is probably very similar to what he does say to the players, And yes, of course, he's never going to come out and go, well, we should be beating these because they're shite. Of course he's not. We're well aware of that. But a little bit more conviction and belief in your own players and your own team would be nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So just before we wrap it up, we'll just go for a couple more minutes. Just quickly go through. Ewan said, "Well, will you be doing a podcast with Ben Jacobs?" I have been texting Ben Jacobs over the last few days. He's happy to come on and do a podcast. I know there's a lot of questions which I know you watching would like to ask Ben. So yeah, it is being arranged. This week has been a difficult one to try and get on because obviously we've got 2 games coming up. Obviously, content-wise, we're full of busy this week. But Ben, he is open to come on, so I'm pretty confident that we will sort that one. And let's have a look. So Michael Sullivan, I know this has been quite a big talking point. Said we're 2-1 tomorrow. Sheffield United are 29-20. Boogie wise, there's teams which are below us in the league, and they're the favourite player. Favourite team. They're the bookies' favourite to get a result against us. That speaks volumes that we're going in these teams, and as a fan base, as supporters of this club, we should be hoping and expecting to get 3 points. Bookies are saying it a different way, realising how shite that was. And the underdogs are the favourites. We are literally going into teams, us in a higher league position, and we are the underdogs. How is that happening? Is that just basically how bad it is under Bruce at this moment in time?
Yeah, well, I've never been confident for years. I mean, we used to laugh and carry on when what's the score going to be? We'll get beat. I always used to think we'll get beat because we don't play good football. And I've said this for years. Honestly, I have for years. But certainly now, it couldn't get any worse. Do you know what I mean? It really is bad at the minute. What I would say, I say it's bad at the minute. Christ, I mean, I watched another team on Saturday night, and then we're even worse. But and I don't mention any names, but in fairness to it, right, we're still to a degree. Look, recently a little bit harder to beat. It's still been poor, but it hasn't been as bad the last few games. I mean, take Brentford out of it. I thought the Liverpool game we drew against Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? What the fuck? I'm not expecting that from us. But it is obviously upsetting that you're going in against any single team now, and you are the underdog, and you feel the underdog. You feel that even if we play Fulham, well, these are going to have more of the ball than us. That's what it feels like. Do you know what I mean? It's just shit.
The worry is, though.
So Oral Knightley summed it up there, Mark.
Motivate yourself.
So he summed it up. Sheffield played 17, 1-0, drew 2, lost 15, favourites. He summed it up perfectly.
Well, it's because they're at home. They got a result at the weekend, which is going to give them a bit of a lift and a bit of a confidence. We're not doing great. We're terrible away from home, so there's not much in it odds wise, really, is there? But I think my concern is it's easy to motivate yourself to play against the big teams like Arsenal, like Liverpool, in Leicester. In the last couple of games that we have where we have played better, will they have that same conviction and want to impress as much when playing against Sheffield United? The game that keeps getting mentioned and the team that keeps getting mentioned in the last couple of weeks is Derby County, who we lost one and drew one with in the game.
4 points
where they only won one game, which was against us.
Yeah. It's coming.
We've never changed.
It's coming. So just to end on this question, Stephen Mallam says, "Will you be doing the videos for the third and goalkeeper kits?" So new people to the channel that don't know this, we did do a 2 parts of Battle of the Kits, where we had basically a knockout tournament. Winner stays on for Newcastle United home kits. We did another one for the away kits, and I think they went on for 2 hours each, if I remember right.
Amazing.
Maybe over 2 hours. But yes, we will be doing the third and the goalkeeper kits, of course we will be. It's just finding the time to do it. As you can all imagine, the three we do have full-time jobs, and we do have own kids, all of we. So we do have lives outside of this. We do this just for your entertainment, your little performing.
My kids can't even. My kids can't even sleep out at the minute because of fucking lockdown. So it's just even harder to have the time to do anything.
So yeah, we'll be doing them. Obviously, ideal world they would have already been done, but because, like I said earlier, the season's quite condensed this season. We're playing 2 games a week at times. It will happen. Trust us, we will get it.
You wouldn't have got the quality Christmas content that you did get through the movies and songs.
Yeah, that was true.
Every
true.
cloud.
That is true. That is true. So yeah.
Die Hard is a Christmas film.
No, Die Hard Christmas film. Right. Julie has said, and we'll leave it on this one. Can take us to the diary room now.
I will, Julie. I will. I'm going to go and get me tea. I think.
Also, get well soon, bestie. That comes from all of us. We hope you're feeling well, mate. And fingers crossed, we'll see you next week. And yeah, so when the kits videos do come out, I'd get the credit card out because I think we've put a little bit of inflation in the Newcastle United kit market on eBay. Some of the shirts are going for ridiculous amounts, and
that's why we
got ourselves to blame.
I do love.
I'm going to buy all the shirts first.
I do love it when people like tweet and say like, "Oh, like I've bought this one because of that." You know what I mean?
It's still non-stop now. We've done it 2 more.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good. Prediction for the mark, Chris, before we go scoreline.
2-0, Chef.
Fucking hell, Mark.
I think we're going to win 1-0.
I'm saying 1-1. So okay then. Well, we've covered every base there.
I was optimistic at the weekend, saying that it would be 1-1. So I wasn't far off. But we're 0-0 going into extra time. So
well, we'll see.
So, yeah,
we shall see.
1-0 win.
Right, I know I was going to end it on Julie's, but I'm going to end on this one. Oh. Only one, Lucas. Why are Newcastle fans so stupid? Fuck you, Lucas. Good night.